Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Anshula, and today we are going to be chatting about 10 atmospheric summer book recommendations. Full of heart, charm, and Lessian awkwardness, Less is Lost is the witty companion to Andrew Sean Greer's literary travel romp. In Less, Arthur Less, a failed novelist, hopscotches the globe in an effort to skirt a wedding. Less is quite literally escaping from his problems, but you can't run away from your issues. They will eventually catch up to you. And the same is true in Less is Lost, where Arthur romps around America in an effort to pull himself out of a mini financial crisis. Less is Lost is set throughout the United States, from Joshua Tree in Palm Springs to Navajo Nation. Less goes true Texas to the south and then the deep south. This is an all-American satire, quick with banter and unafraid of quips and jest. It's remarkably clever and delightfully observant, told with a razor-sharp lens. I loved Less's pacing and humor more. I think Less is Lost is more meandering, more plotting. It has more weight to it, but it's also just as exuberant and perceptive as the Pulitzer Prize winning original. One of my favorite underhyped summer books is Wanderlove by Kristen Hubbard. Wanderlove is everything you'd want in a summer read. Adventure, lightheartedness, travel, a dose of self-discovery. That being said, I demand a new cover for this book because the cover art doesn't do the story any justice. 18-year-old Bria signs up for the trip of a lifetime to heal after heartbreak. This is Bria's first time backpacking, and she quickly realizes the global vagabond tour she opted for is more Trafalgar and less intrepid. So Bria ditches the group and joins a brother-sister duo, Rowan and Starling, on a Central America whirlwind. Author Kristen Hubbard is a travel writer, so she has a knack for making you feel like you're in a place. She'll sweep you up in the sights, sounds, and smells of an area. She brings out the vibrancy of Belize and places beyond with ease. There's more I love about Wanderlove. Bria's character arc is realistic. She expects to be completely transformed by an area, but she comes out just a little changed, with hints of a new perspective and a willingness to put more work into herself. Like a lot of good travel books, Wanderlove is a reminder that travel is a good escape, but you still bring baggage with you. You still have to zip that baggage open, unpack it, and face it, because even though you have the privilege and clarity of a new surrounding, that baggage is what you're living with and breathing in. It Won't Always Be Like This is one of the most atmospheric summer books. Malika Gharib's graphic memoir brings you back to her summers in Egypt, from childhood to adolescence, where Gharib spent days with her Egyptian father and stepmother. With real, raw snippets from Gharib's childhood diary, It Won't Always Be Like This is personal. It laps up the Cairo atmosphere and highlights cultural differences and the classic pains of growing up biculturally. The art style is loose, minimalist, and exaggerated. It's expression focused and seeped in sharp, saturated colors. And the anchor is Gharib's summertime relationship with Hala, her stepmother. I love that, unlike so many books I've read, Gharib doesn't villainize Hala's choices. She chooses to see her time and again through a frame of honesty and empathy. 7 Days in June is an emotional contemporary with characters who feel real and raw and present. Eva Mercy is a protective mom and writer of a career catapulting smutty vampire witch romance series. Shane Hall is a mysterious lit fic writer. Eva and Shane have had a haunting past tied together by secrets they haven't forgotten but tried to close off. When Eva talks to Shane for the first time in 15 years, there's a spark. They have 7 days in the summery month of June to see if they can ignite love and move from a place of rash to rational, codependent to thriving. This time seeing if their passion can burn in a relationship that is healthy and that doesn't cut deeper into old wounds. If you like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, you might really enjoy this book. It has smart, witty, of the period writing. T.L. Williams' fashion blogger background does occasionally bleed lead onto the page with her hyper-specific clothing descriptions, but I like the writing overall. It has a lot of pop culture references. 7 Days in June is electric, intense, self-aware, and a little sultry. There is a scene that has acephobic language that I despised, and I don't think that shows up in trigger warning listings for this book, so that's just a little extra content warning for anyone who needs it. For me, summer is synonymous with Shakespeare. When I think of summertime, I think of Shakespeare performed in parks, crowds gathered on open lawns waiting for the slight chill of summer evenings, eyes searching for drama and comedy on stage. So that's why Mona Awad's All's Well is on my list of summer books. It's about Miranda Fitch, a theater teacher suffering and struggling with chronic back pain. Miranda wants to stage All's Well that ends well. Her students want to perform Macbeth. And as with all Mona Awad stories, Miranda's course takes a dark, twisted, magical realism, acid trip of a turn. Every time I read a book by Mona Awad, I think back to that line from the first chapter of Gone Girl. Let me see if I can find it so I don't misquote it. Her brain, all those coils, and her thoughts shuttling through those coils like fast, frantic centipedes. Like a child, I picture opening her skull and spooling her brain and sifting through it, trying to catch and pin down her thoughts. What are you thinking, Amy? For me, it's what are you thinking, Awad? How do you think? What goes on in that brain of yours to come up with these weird and wonderful stories? In All's Well, Miranda Fitch's life becomes a fever dream of a Shakespearean play. All's Well is consumed by Shakespeare references and has that maniacal creativity only Mona Awad can conjure. Maureen Johnson is a good atmosphere writer, so her summertime set, young adult mystery, The Box in the Woods, unsurprisingly carries the heat of summer into a camp environment. The Box in the Wood takes place in the Stevie Bell universe, centered around Maureen Johnson's true crime obsessed fictional detective Stevie Bell, but Vermont's Ellingham Academy is switched out for Camp Sunny Pines, a place once the grounds for a mini slasher. In the late 1970s, a quad of counselors were slashed in the woods near the fictional town of Barlow Corners. There was good girl Sabrina, bad boy Todd, Eric, and Diane. Stevie in the present day is working with an eccentric CEO who wants to make a Murderino podcast about the crime to find out the who, what, and why of the case. What Box in the Woods does well is its inclusion of people cast into an emotional hole and rut as a result of gruesome murders of their loved ones. It shows overstepping of bounds by wannabe detectives and lack of sensitivity of people when they open up wounds. However, there was a lot in this book that didn't work for me as well. Heavy, overbearing, foreshadowing, cartoonish characters, a ridiculous ending, but the threads of The Box in the Woods do tie together neatly, and Massachusetts summer is in full swing on the pages. I listened to this particular title on audiobook first while in Massachusetts, and the talented narrator and spindly trees outside my Airbnb really shielded me from a lot of the cringe moments in The Box in the Woods and allowed me to hear the story at its best. Nicole Dennis Benz' Here Comes the Sun will break your heart. This story is split amongst 3 generations glued to the same Jamaican household. Margot, the eldest daughter, is doing whatever she can to change the cards of her sister Thondi's fate. Margot works in a hotel the kind tourists saunter into, not understanding or caring for the realities of the staff. She engages in powerless side hustles, losing her values to give Thondi what she wished she had. But Thondi wants to pursue her dreams and live life her own way. These daughters of matriarch Dolores break boundaries. They are bound to the bitterness of the world, but fight in ways that make sense to them. Here Comes the Sun is one of my all-time favorite books for its gut-wrenching characterization and rhythmic writing. Dialogue is patois penned and lyrical. On-page discussions of colorism, cyclical poverty, and the sex worker industry rise to the surface. It's a book that will make you cry warm tears on a sweltering summer's day. This is Paradise is a brutal, haunting collection of short stories set in Hawaii. Christiana Kahokuila's words walk along a tightrope. Paragraphs are thick with tension between Hawaiian locals and tourists, tension between those who live in Hawaii and the Hawaiians who left. tension between Hawaiians in Hawaii. Scenes in This Is Paradise have an uneasy cadence. Tales fall and spiral into a dizzying net of emotions. Frustration, questioning, doubt, mistrust, obsession, and vengeance are snapshotted beautifully, framed in character arcs and actions. The stories that left the largest imprint in my head were This Is Paradise, told in collective first-person plural, Wanderlove, and 39 Rules for Making a Hawaiian Funeral into a Drinking Game. Lauren Groff's Florida is atmospheric, but it's also dark and sweltering and snake-filled. In her short story collection, thematically linked to Florida, Groff writes about the Sunshine State with cynicism. Groff's Florida view is sardonic and skeptical. Her writing is descriptive, poetic at just the right moments. It's a hard collection to get attached to, with nameless narrators and characters. The lenses lean towards feminist, but with many stories that seem like personal stabs at men. Florida can come across as disillusioned and bitter. Certain stylistic choices didn't suit my personal reading taste, but I can't deny that these stories magnify Florida. They're great pre-Florida trip books and summer reads. The first two short stories were my favorite. The initial hooking me in from the very first line, it was, I have somehow become a woman who yells. The second tale packs in an entire person's life and philosophy and ethos into the span of just a few pages, condensing a person's journey, their motivations, their fears down to the fewest number of words is a feat, and Groff accomplishes it in such an impressive way. What Emily Henry does with adult romance, Jenna Evans Welsh does with young adult contemporaries. She drops in a summer setting, old feelings are stirred up in new surroundings, and what I love about Love and Luck in particular is that this story is a love story, but not a romance. It is relationship focused, but not romantic relationship focused. Love and Luck is sibling focused. Addie and Ian are rebuilding, repairing, reworking their way to their natural rapport. They were friends once, and you hope they'll be friends again. Ireland enters the scene here and there. Addie and Ian are on a road trip after all, but mostly Ireland is shown through snippets in an Ireland travel guide for broken hearts, which speaks to Addie at this point in her life. Those are all of my summer book recommendations. Let me know what summer books you've loved. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys!